Hello again everybody, this is Amorgin and you're very welcome back to another community panel discussion where today guys we're dealing with our Santa wish list. We've compiled the list of items that were offered to us in the Scopelys survey. We're taking this as the Santa wish list. I'm joined by Thaylor from server 26 and Flando from server 131 to go through what our picks from Santa's workshop would be this Christmas. But before we do that, guys, we'd want to pay tribute to René Auberjonois, who we received word a few hours ago before recording that he sadly passed away. A lot of tributes flowing from the Star Trek community in general, but in particular from Star Trek Fleet Command. So a wee moment just to reflect on his contribution as Odo to the Star Trek universe, and our condolences go out to his family. So it's getting to that time of year, guys. Christmas, it's quite mild here. I'm not really feeling it yet, but we've all done our Santa lists, I hope, yes?
Yep.
Oh boy.
I've already spent way too much money already.
Okay, so we have the list now. Essentially, this is a list that came from the Scopelys survey that popped up on our phones and our devices when we went into the game. Hopefully, everybody is completing those surveys, but we had one of those, and we've seen some elements of that come into the game. I want to lead with that. The first thing I've got there is warping Thaylor. That's come into the game recently.
Yes, everybody is pretty much aware now, and very glad, I'm sure, with the new warping feature, the new warping mechanics, where you can stop warp the first 5 seconds, and then you can stop warp and then get dropped off the next station. So on the screen, you can see the 3 items that were asked in this Scopelys survey, which, real briefly, the Scopelys survey is a list of items that Scopelys has compiled from the community, and has asked us what is the most important in that list. So this is what this list has been compiled from. So warping, ability to cool down that will allow you to reduce the time for a single warp, stop ships in warp and have them return to where they started, and then having your ships automatically leave recall from empty mining nodes. Now, the implementation of the feature we have recently didn't do exactly this, but this gives you the idea of what kind of mechanics Scopelys will be implementing. So a cooldown that allow you to basically warp faster, that'd be nice. I mean, like a little token or something like that you can apply to a ship, or maybe for the next 30 minutes all your warps are 20% faster or something like that. Definitely welcome. Stop ship and warp and have them return to where they started. We don't need that. We just stop and get dropped off. And then having ships automatically leave recall from empty nodes, that I don't think is a good idea. Removing your ship immediately when it goes 0. I like there's an option when you on the ship where you can click on the ship and hold down, a little context menu pops up and says auto recall when empty. That'll be great for some people.
But essentially what we're seeing here, Thaylor, is that they consulted with the community and now they have implemented changes in that category.
So this list seems to be a collection of community comments. They may have their own internal development, VIPs and stuff like that. And it looks like this list was compiled from the survey and may give an indicator of future features in the short term, maybe in the next 3 to 6 months. I can see all of these or some of these implemented in a slightly different way before we see them in game. So it is something of a good feeling for this list.
Sorry, sorry.
All right, Flando. So one of the items on the wish list, we're going to give Flando the first dip into Santa's bag here, remembering that Scopely or Santa, the elves are in their workshop working on these at the moment. If what Thaylor alludes to in terms of this being a list that Scopely are working on, then this is what the elves in the workshop are working on. So Flando, top of the Santa wish list for you. What's that going to be?
On the ships category, between the 4 of them, if I had to choose one personally, Probably the ability to repair multiple ships simultaneously. You know, I like having the fact that you can repair 2 or 3 or 4 ships. With having 4 dry docks, it's a bit of a pain when you've got one ship on a 4-hour repair time, and you have to speed that up if your miner gets hit or if you've got another ship that needs repaired if you want to do some PvE or something else. So I think just having that little quality of life improvement, as you like to put it, would be quite nice for I think a lot of players. That'd be the top one out of the 4, I would say, personally. Separate docks and higher for ship repairing and tearing up. Again, I know there was that glitch a while back that you could use. I think they've removed that now. Again, it's nice not having one space completely locked up, tearing up for 5, 6, 10 days, because not losing one slot impacts you a lot in the game.
Well, I always find it weird that the dock, which I consider more like a parking space, right, and the hangar as the auto mechanic building your ship. Why aren't you using your hangar to tear up your ship?
Yeah. That would be a nice quality of life improvement, but number 4, trading ships to transfer cargo between ships and players. I mean, if that means that we can trade resources between each other, that's an entire game changer. That's not quality of life. That changes the economy of the game.
Not that as much as you think. It makes it more convenient, because right now, the way you do it now is you just drop alliance, let someone drain you, or not drain you, crack your base, and then they transfer all the cargo for free. It just takes some time. So because the new game mechanics from raiding, it leads us to, well, why do the middleman? Why do that? Why just transfer the resources, which you can already do right now? So the only thing I hope
think I go for that.
I don't. Yeah, the only thing I hope they don't do is they don't do like the Devore and put it between a paywall. Have an event, trade ship. The trade ships should not have any weapons on them. They have good protected cargo. It would make mining in long range interesting, because potentially if you can trade between ships, that would be amazing. Have a deep space miner, right, on a big node, right? I can take my trade ship, warp over to it, get within 1 unit of it, transfer the cargo at whatever rate, and then fly back. And then that fast miner stays on the node. It's
a nice idea. I want to move you on to you're going to dip into the lucky bag now and pull something out of Santa's sack. What's that going to be? The next item?
Well, I was listening to Santa's workshop, and they're looking at possibly doing something with crew organizations. Now, having pre-saved crew loadouts, ability to swap crew when they're away from your station, and more options of sorting crew when assigning them to a ship. So obviously having crew, when you use your docks, you have your mining, maybe you have your PvE, then you have your PvP, and switching between officers can be, even sorting by group, is cumbersome in some cases. And I would say having be able to switch a crew loadout in a PvP event, your base is being raided and you see a Saladin out there, then you go over there, you see someone's in a Bortus or whatever, you want to have different ships loadouts. You see what I'm saying? Being able to quickly swap them out in the heat of a raid, for example, would be very useful. Being able to switch officers out of your station, these mining that switches between, let's say, gas and ore or whatever. How many times have you had to send a ship out, swap the guy out?
Yeah. Oh no, it's a pain. All right.
Swap the
I think 1 and 2 go hand in hand. You shouldn't be giving one without the other. There, I don't think they go hand in hand. And number 3 can wait if we get 1 and 2. What do you think, Flando?
I mean, I like the idea. It would resolve a lot of if you're breaking a base and then you've got to swap from like cannon crew to your mining crew on a faction miner or horizon or whatever. Those 20 to 30 seconds between that would be quite nice. And with bringing in more officers like Zao and all the other ones that have come out now recently, Cerberus, Lanar, there's so many officers and so many different
and
classes you can play now. So it's good having that pre-save.
And that leads me nicely on to your next dip into Santa's bag.
Officers.
Aye. You said something about officers there.
Good old Harrison. It would be nice to see him come back again. again, we all know why he's not there, with Saladin, and I'd hate to see how he performs now since the most recent update on a.
But this is something we can confirm that Santa's elves are working on something along these lines there somewhere.
Well, yeah, what I'm liking as well though is if they do create a counter, that'd be really nice. Jayla, for God's sake, get her out. I mean, it's the fact they brought her out when Swarms came out in the first place, and she's just been sitting there, just
just make her officer abilities, hunter, a swarm hunter, and then a secondary ability that's useful for something else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think everyone was assuming she was going to be for Swarm, and they've just not bothered with her. Maybe they've got maybe she's on the very low list of things to bring it into the game.
What about the Harrison stuff, Thaylor? You reckon they're going to bring Harrison back? They're going to make him available then, or reduce his effectiveness? Which do you think it'll be?
They would have to redo his ability, because being able to drop shields makes ships like we said the Saladin way too powerful. The problem here is if they came out with a new version of Harrison or modified his officer ability. Some people spent hundreds of dollars to get the officer as is. You see what I'm saying? And have used him for months. So either they would have a Harrison version 2, or I don't know how they would undo an officer that's already out in the wild. That's
so just make him available to everybody.
I don't know, because the thing is, you could also have a anti-Harrison officer. I thought they tried to do that with Carol, I believe.
Yeah, I'd love a counter. I would love a counter on a Centurion against the Harrison Saladin. I would love that.
A hard counter. I like the battle triangle. Why not have battle triangles with officers as well?
Okay.
Would kind of go with the officer crew organizations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Fair point. We could talk about some of these all night. Thaylor, your go next. What are Santa's elves working on that you're gonna?
Well, economy. Well, let's look at this. Let's see what they have working on in their Santa's workshop. Ability to turn unneeded materials. Example, ship blueprints, 2-star materials, something more meaningful. Definitely. Improve the refinery, reduce uncommon material costs. And packs more varied price points added to the store. So, I'm an old school gamer. I love the Diablo. I don't know if you guys remember that, the game where you can convert lower level materials into higher quality materials at a 3-to-1 ratio. If they had some kind of 5-to-1 ratio for G2 to G1 mats, that'd be great. You know what I'm saying? And even G3 to G4, I would say. I mean, if someone wanted to sit there and grind on G3 to get one, convert that over and have a new refinery, for example, option to convert maps between categories, that would be great. You can add research to do that to make it more efficient. There's so much ability on that. So I like to be able to take older materials, things that are I don't know about you, but I have over 1,200 blueprints for envoys. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to do with that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Improve the refinery, reduce number. The second one about the refinery, my personal opinion is I think the refinery should be fixed. If you have 12,000 whatever, you should get 8 4 or 5 uncommon, whatever your ops level is. You know what I'm saying? Just make it fixed, and that way they can control the progression of the players, and you don't have this getting uncommons 3 days in a row. Like me, you know what I'm saying? I'm just unluckiest guy.
And the packs?
And then of course, bringing packs down to the $5 range. We talked about this earlier about the idea of having dynamic packs. Stuff like that. If you get a Saladin blueprint, for example, make an offer right there on the spot for the rest of the ship.
Yeah.
So lowering the price point to the $5, $10 packs, more specialized packs, specific officers. If someone is 10 officers shy, shards of completed officer, put a $10 pack in there. Put a $5 pack, right there. Boom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it would definitely generate income. Flando, anything on any of that?
Just focusing on the unneeded materials and turning them into something else. Just what Thaylor saying about having overloaded BP, and I've got about 3,000, nearly 4,000 envoy BP actually, which it'd be nice to do something with it, even if it's turned into 2-star material to then turn into 3-star material, like 1,000/1 ratio or something like that. That'd be fine. At least I can use it for something. It's not just sitting there wasting away.
Actually, and let me interject. What if you could build an envoy and then give it to your faction for faction credits?
Yeah, so we covered that before as well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Anything for faction credits, I mean, I think that's the most sought after thing in this game right now for the enemy.
Anything else on that list, Flando?
The packs I like, I mean, the fact that they removed, I don't know about anyone else's store, but the only £5 pack I had, they removed. The cheapest one I've got now is £18, £49. God knows how many £92 ones I've got, honestly. But again, a little bit more focus on the smaller spenders, to give them something to actually buy and be able to afford, because not everyone can afford £100.
And in the absence of spending, what a lot of people do is looting. I think I heard you say that you were going to put that in your list.
Oh, I'll loot and to spend. I do a bit of both. I love looting. It's the best thing in this game, in my opinion. But on the first option, more opportunities to get F mods or even reduce requirements. It's a hefty grind to get those mods. I mean, I've not bought any of the F mod packs, and over time I've managed to get it to tier 7 now, but it's took a lot of grinding to get to that, and a lot of hours. A number I wouldn't want to openly admit, but yeah, I mean, it's something that I think they should maybe give more mod drops per kill. Removing Kera, Vaclus, and Kamari blueprint drops from hostiles over level 30, please do.
Well, I think that depends. Yeah, I think that depends on what they're going to replace it with.
Well, I was going to say, if you go back to economy where you can transfer the unneeded materials into something else, then I'd be fine with them keeping those BPs there, because at least I can get something back from it.
But if they were to replace them with, like, I don't know, for every 3 Vaclus blueprints, you get 1 Centurion blueprint, for example. I'd go for that. That'd be nice. Like, not that I need them, but that would be nice, rather than we're going to replace them blueprints with, like, I don't know, 2-star ship parts.
Well, it's probably what they're probably going to do is remove them from the looting table. So that what will happen is the same looting table would be happening now, except those items would be removed, which means other items on that list would be happening more frequently, which may mean more blueprints for your Centurion.
Yeah,
they could always introduce into the loot table the BP for level 26 faction ships as well, to help the mid 20 level players.
Yeah. That might happen yet. Armada directives.
That shouldn't even be a chance to drop.
Right.
I mean, in terms of getting the directives, Thaylor's already said this a few times in previous videos. You shouldn't have to add directives in the first place to launch an Armada. But if that's the way we're going to do it, then so be it. Getting 75 or 90, in a week for an uncommon is just not enough.
What do we do with all of the people like me then that have been saving their Armada directives if they remove them?
Well,
you know what I mean. Like, you'd have to be compensated for that, like, because people have gone out and done Armadas with them directives and gotten the packs from them. Yeah.
Here's what you do with those. By the way, if we had a dream and they remove Armada directives just completely from the game, right? Then you can use our Armada directives to give you bonuses during the combat. So if you start an Armada with the Armada directives, you get like 17% damage boost.
Yeah. So then they'd be given out about that then too. Like, but sure. What do you think? What do you think's next there, Thaylor, for yourself? You can get another pick here.
Well, user interface is basically, we already know that the user interface, especially on mobile devices, is very cluttered. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about power gain and from events displayed in all buildings and research. It'd be nice to know that which building costs what, so you can do whatever. But most people aren't using up all the speed ups on buildings. You know what I'm saying? So it's like point. Move locate and recall buttons away from each other. Yes, please. But now with the new warping mechanic, it's not as big a deal. If we didn't have the warping mechanic where you couldn't cancel within 5 seconds, then there would still be a huge issue. This was something we mentioned back in February, by the way. And then base scan that shows lootable resources rather than all resources. As a raider, I think it would be better. You get a general idea, but most people nowadays, especially with the new mechanics, unless the base has millions of resources, you're not even going to spend your time to raid them. When you were doing carpet bombing on entire systems at a time, then yes, it would make sense. But now it's kind of not really necessary.
Jeez, I would like it. What do you think, Flando?
Yeah, no. At one point, I would have agreed to show lootable resources, but I think Thaylor hit it nail on the head there. Since this update, with it being much more difficult to actually crack bases, you're not gonna go out your way to crack a base which has got
but would it not be nice to have rather than you having to do some kind of calculation to figure out what their protected limit is? Would it not be nice to know exactly what's available to you then?
It would be nice to know, but
that could be the difference. That could be the difference in you cracking a base or not. That could be the difference in you going, shit, I wouldn't have thought that was that. Or it might save you a little bit going, geez, I thought I was going to get more out of it than that.
Yeah. What it's going to save you is one extra hit on your horizon or your Antares or whatever on a base because you thought they had more resources. That's what it's going to do.
What about the rest of it there, Flando?
Well, it was like base scan. Power gain for events displayed for all bounds and research. I think is Elcar's not got something for that now, where you can actually check out what
you can, but that's more power gained for events. You know the way, like if you you go to upgrade a building during the domination event there, for example, you won't know necessarily exactly how much power that's going to give you.
Yeah. Oh, so you mean like actually it tells you?
You know when I build this is going to give me this power.
Yeah, in the UI.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be handy.
In the UI, it will have a little thing that has like points.
It's in other games, like it'll tell you when you check it out, any bit of research or any building, it'll tell you what power it's going to add to you. And the locate recall button, I think that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean now you can stop. Now you can cancel warp, but it's not needed anymore. To be honest.
Well, they do need to move the buttons somewhere though.
Yeah, swap the manage and locate button. That's all you need to
do. Flando.
My
last pick for you for tonight, yeah.
I'll go with Alliance. Being Admiral of the Alliance I'm in since January, February now. There's a lot of things I'd like to see. Diplomacy-wise, having legitimate naps with other alliances, have them a different colour code, like I don't know, green or something. Or
paint the alliance,
yeah, pink or something like that. Having a war action, and maybe having between those two alliances that are at war, a reward for player on each side with the most kills or with most resources raided, and I make a little sort of event between each alliance. It gives players more.
That's a great idea.
Reasoning for actually being in a war, rather than just saying I'm going to kill your empty miner because I can.
How would that work now? Like an event?
Yeah, not like a server event, but if you go to war with another alliance, let's say you can choose how long you want the war to last for, be it 1 day, 3 days, 5 days a week, whatever.
Yeah.
What about the end of that event?
What about friendly wars like they have on like Clash of Clans? You can have friendly attacks and friendly. You can try to crack somebody's base, but it's only an instance. You don't actually really lose anything.
Oh yeah, I mean
that would be good because that's player generated contact. If I can go with another alliance,
you can only do it within your alliance. Like where it's like Flando, I'm flagging you up, Flando. Do you want to battle? You go, yep. You accept it. Then we can go and attack each other's ships for as long as we as long as we want. Hit each other's bases, do whatever, but we don't lose anything. And then when that's over, we're back to attacking other people for real.
I would say, you know what would happen if we were able to do that? People would create an alliance just on the fly, right? a bunch of people from like 20 different alliances will all join it, and then we just have a fight night.
Yeah.
That's what would happen with that, and that would be great.
Anyway, we're getting a wee bit off topic.
That's what Kill on Sight one. I mean, every server has the odd couple guys who go on their empty miner sprees and all that, and I don't think it's really needed. Let them do what they want. Every empty miner killer on a server eventually gets bored.
How about a bounty? How about the ability to put a bounty on somebody?
That would be good, actually. But then who controls the bounty? And then is it your own resources, or...
Here's the problem with bounties, and coming from Star Wars Galaxies and stuff like that, what happened was people would use bounties as kind of like the power destroyed mechanic we have today, where they kind of like, oh, I have a 10 million this, or I have a 20 million that, and they use it as like a badge of honor. But then what would happen is people would just use that and have their own friend kill them for the bounty, and then they just get the money. So bounties are not really, it makes people think that they're getting them killed, but in fact they just have their friend kill them.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you can't really implement that.
Yeah. Moving on to alliance management tools. Yeah, being able to see. I remember when they first updated the alliance tab, and some players had a green highlight along their names. I think a lot, myself included, thought that meant that person was online. I'd love to see when people in my alliance are online, not just me, but I think anyone in the alliance would love to see who's online and who's not online, especially when you've got 60, 70 players plus, or even see when the last active, because the way I do it is I'll take screenshots of the power of each player, and then I'll check it a week later, and I have to try and see, okay, so who's went down, who's went up, who's not changed at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I think someone's offline, but it's not. They've just had, when I've checked it 7 days ago, they've had 4 envoys out, so the power's been really low, and then the next week they've been destroyed, so they've not got any ships actually built, so the power's even less. So I'm thinking, are they really playing? Are they not playing? What's going on? Being able to send out alliance-wide messages. I know we've got Discord, which is a great tool. I know a lot of people do use it, but being able to actually contact players in game that are online, because not everyone checks Discord, and we shouldn't expect them to check another platform. They're here to play Star Trek, not to spend half the time on Discord at the same simultaneously. So yeah, being able to see who's online and then say, okay, so I've got 10 people online. Let's message these 10 players. Let's get a couple of matters going. That way everyone gets a message at the same time. And it makes communicating a lot easier as well.
Okay. Thaylor, anything on the alliance management before you do your last pick?
I think any tool, especially at the last, being able to do wars, highlight people in your lines, yellow or green, whatever you want to call it, being able to do things with other alliances, having an alliance chat across alliances, for example, would be awesome too. You know what I'm saying? If you're you have a pack of like say 3 or 4 alliances, whatever, then have a chat for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, other games do that as well. But
okay, last pick of subject there for you.
So this is the last list of items that are on Santa Scopelys list that really didn't go to any category. They are publish event calendar, lower the difficulty of mission enemies, and ability to track players even when they're changing their names. So the event calendar is an idea so we can see what's coming down the pipe. But we know as well as you know that the events sometimes get delayed for whatever reasons, and they have to put filler events in those. So having a strict, next Thursday we're going to have this event. Next month on the 1st we're going to have this new active war event or whatever. I don't know if that's going to be possible with the release schedule of the way that works. It would be nice even if they was just listed in order, not necessarily given a date. That'd be even just as good. So we can plan ship upgrades and stuff like that. Lower difficulty of mission enemies. I don't think they necessarily need to do this. I think all they need to do is make it so that we can run our own armadas against these hostiles. If I can put 2 or 3 ships against one of these hostile enemies, then that's it. There
Yeah,
we go.
and,
They're out
and
of
bear,
fleet.
bear in mind that when they consulted with people, the people who completed this survey ranked all of this in order of preference. Some of this stuff could be way down the order in terms of what the players want.
Exactly. Be able to track players even when they change their name. On our server, we have alliances that constantly change their name, and then of course they're the griefers and stuff like that. So you look at your chat messages with them. You'll tag them and you see, oh hey, they changed their name from this to this. You know what I'm saying?
I don't mind. I don't mind that so much. I don't mind that so much. What do you reckon, Flando?
Yeah.
The lowering difficulty of mission enemies, I think that's something that will be more focused on those who don't have prime officers. Because when the update came out, if you had prime officers, you got that big boost. So your ship's got instantly a lot stronger, and killing a lot of mission enemies helped a lot. But if you don't have that prime, then you don't really get that benefit. So I think for a lot of either low spenders or free to play players, they didn't get to do any new missions after the update because nothing really changed for them in terms of overall ship power. But yeah, I think rather than reducing the actual power of the ships, being able to run 2, 3, 4, or 5 ally members with you, giving you a hand, would be the better option in my opinion.
An armada against a mission boss, like we discussed many times before.
What about armada missions? You can do that. I mean, what if I had a mission to run an armada and it required me to have you guys help me?
Yep.
Whole new class of mission type.
Yep. What about the events calendar or the tracking players, Flando?
I don't think we really need to bother with tracking players when they change their name. I mean, I think at least there's one person in each alliance who has, the naughty, those on the naughty step or on the Santa's naughty list. If you want to be Christmassy, someone's got them blocked. So if someone changes their name, it's not long before everyone knows who it is anyway. So I mean, I don't think we really have to go through all that hassle of trying to track players as such. We're already doing it our own way, so we are.
Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I want to remind people that this is a list that was compiled out of a survey that Scopelys consulted with the player base. We mentioned at the start, we hope everybody completes these surveys because it informs them as to what we want. This list is not our list. If it's not on the list, guys, then it's not being done by Santa's elves. Scopelys' workshop are not working on it if it's not on that list. That's our assertion. It's unlikely that anything else is going to be coming into the game in the short term other than these kind of things. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. Hopefully they're open to new ideas and they're not working solely on this list. But go through it in your own time. It's been quite a long one, guys. There's a number of points there that we've raised and discussed. Leave your comments below as always. Let us know what's on your Santa wish list, and come into Discord if you want to get into it any further.
Just missed one thing. I forgot to mention, going back to the list, survey ships gain XP for mining. That is a must because you can't constantly smash a base now for ship XP. So trying to level up a miner is pretty difficult now and quite tedious. So I think they should give a faction miner or any survey ship actually XP for mining. Just wanted to add that in quickly.
Fair enough. You do know that's what you use your ship EXP on during the ship EXP events, though.
Not always.
Thaylor, any final thoughts?
So, I hope part or all of this list gets implemented, in the future. I hope this is just an idea of these features. And remember, development cycle. It takes time to implement some of these features, and they're talking about server issues. The way things are configured, databases and stuff like that. Services, costs for each of these have to be weighed for everything. So remember, be patient. Some of these features can take time, but I think this is a really good list. If we can get stuff in the next 6 months, great. And plus whatever other content they're going to be doing. This is just features that they're adding in the game. Remember, they have their own events and whatever, new characters, new officers. There's going to be all that hopefully in that list. This is just what they're looking at for feature. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right, guys. So until the next community panel discussion, look after yourselves and look after each other, and we'll catch you all again very shortly. Cheers.